Hi everybody, this is Dee at Aloha Astro, and we're looking at a full moon in Gemini on December 18th and the 19th. And that is because it's occurring very close to midnight on the 18th. It will be affecting you both days, today on Saturday as we build up to the full moon, and then in some parts of the world, and depending on where you are, it may actually be occurring on the 19th for you. But we will still have that residual full moon intensity going on as we go into Sunday. So let's see what I have written for the forecast. Full moon in Gemini, Saturday, December 18th and Sunday, December 19th, highlights the importance of asking questions and making both head and heart-centered choices as you take stock of past accomplishments and commitments while considering the future growth potential of change, as the full moon opposes the Sun in Sagittarius, forming a quincunx aspect to Venus conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, as well as a trine to Jupiter in Aquarius. Gemini is considered a light-hearted air sign associated with curiosity, imagination, social conversation, and community connections, but the activation of Venus and Pluto in Capricorn, as well as the trine between Mercury in Capricorn and Uranus in Taurus, puts pressure upon you to identify and address any immature, flighty, fickle, or callously casual parts of your own words or deeds. It is also possible that you will be listening and watching more carefully to others to gauge sincerity, maturity, and integrity. And if you and they are no longer in simpatico, you could separate. The karmic north and south nodes, the head and tail of the dragon in Vedic astrology, are being activated by Mars conjunct the south node in Sagittarius, opposing the north node in Gemini, while Chiron in Aries squares Mercury and trines Mars, creating a rapid outpicturing of your thoughts and delivers the immediate consequences of your actions. So choose your words and the company you keep wisely. Venus in Capricorn retrogrades on the 19th, stationing direct on January 29th. Use this full moon to determine what is most important, who or what you can commit to or even compete or fight for. Perhaps a past relationship or business endeavor failed because of lack of maturity, responsibility, experience, or commitment. But now you or they are ready. Send that text or make that call to an old friend/flame, reapply for that bigger position, dust off the old business plans. Let's take a look at how things look in the sky right now. And you can see it's really busy. There's stuff everywhere. We are stretched all the way through Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini today. So we have a good portion of the 12 signs activated. If you are any of the sun signs where nothing's going on, that doesn't mean you won't be feeling things. You will still be having aspects occur between your own natal planets and the transiting planets. And if you are interested in what's going on for you personally, beyond a general forecast for this full moon, you can schedule with me through my schedule appointment link. And we have the Sun right now here in Sagittarius at a late degree. We've got the moon at 27 degrees as well when we have that moon-sun opposition, the full moon. So we have air and fire energy going on, and these are both mutable signs, which mean flexible and adaptable, but they often give us multiple options to choose from or a lot of variety. There can be distraction. However, we have a good antidote to the distraction in that we have this aspect here, this quincunx going on with Venus and Pluto conjunct in Capricorn, and Capricorn is very goal-focused and success-oriented and serious and responsible. So with those planets there saying, what do you really love? What do you really want? Are you willing to do the work of it? That's some of what your emotional focus will be. And even though this is, as I mentioned, a very airy, light-hearted moon, it's getting some strong anchoring from the Capricorn planets. It's also doing some seeking and trying to peer around the corner to see what's coming up in the future, but I think the biggest lesson right now does come from the lunar nodes and Mars in Sagittarius connecting here with the North Node, also connecting with Chiron in Aries, which is very self-aware and very assertive. And wherever things are not working for you, you know you need to change. And some of the knowing you need to change those things comes from Mercury in Capricorn, which is a cardinal boss-like sign. Also, Capricorn, goal-oriented. We have a trine going on to the planet of change, Uranus in Taurus. So anything that's good and enduring, you will probably be able to discern that it is, and it's worth maybe taking a different approach, but continuing your commitment and working hard toward it. If it is time to make a change, then that change energy of Uranus as well as Jupiter in Uranus's sign Aquarius, Jupiter is growth oriented, supports the moon, supports the sun very well, and if something is going to be better for you to perhaps become free or move toward, then you will be able to make that decision and move ahead. And that retrograde there of Venus, I think it is most important really to consider things like the time factor. And because we have this Pluto energy, Pluto rules Scorpio, and one of Scorpio's pet peeves is boundaries. You may have to look at both commitments, boundaries, what you like, what you do not like, and then express your thoughts and feelings in a way that other people will take you seriously, and also in a way that you know you can follow through and keep your word. It is important to draw that boundary, but also then keep that boundary there. Don't just say something and then let everybody slack, or you not follow through on what you say you're going to do. Integrity is important to Capricorn, and while we have Mercury in Capricorn and Venus in Capricorn, it is important that you keep your word, or that you make yourself very clear in communication. And maybe that will upset some people, or people may act out in response to any boundary setting, because we do have some rather childish energy that's associated with Gemini, and immaturity, or the fickle quality of Gemini being activated by the sun in Sagittarius, which can sometimes also be rather casual and not want to take things seriously. And Mars, definitely it's important that you realize whatever you decide to say or do is going to have some effect, and you might see that effect rather quickly, as I mentioned in the forecast, because of that opposition. The South Node is not toggled on here, but it always is opposite the North Node, and it is here at 1 degree of Sagittarius, joining Mars. And this fading T-square, we have a square here between the North Node in Gemini and Jupiter in Aquarius, and then a square between Mars and Jupiter. It's losing its effect. It was stronger a couple of days ago. Now it's beginning to fade as Mars moves forward, and the T-square begins to fall apart. But it's a weird T-square we've been feeling this week. It's been bringing about unpredictable things, unexpected things. Some are odd coincidences or serendipity, or things that might appear not so good but then turn out to actually be better. And multiple choices or options that you might not have expected or anticipated, but now look as though they're worth pursuing. So on the one hand, it can be very scattering and enticing to go off in other directions, but maybe it is time. And what you really have to do is make that list and discern what you are keeping, what you're sticking with, what works, and what does not, as you prepare for the future and moving ahead, and think about conversations you might need to have. It's definitely a we need to talk time. Consider, though, that when you are communicating with others, because of this fading T-square, and because of Mercury making a square to Chiron in Aries, you might have your say, but you might get feedback that shows you the error of your ways, or shows you where you have not been doing your part of a bargain, or doing your part of staying true to your own words. So what's the expression, like tit for tat, that you will have your own self to look at the same time you might be critical of others. Or another great expression, the pot calling the kettle black. There's room for improvement all the way around because of Jupiter in Aquarius making great aspects to the Sun and to the Moon. You now have to pick the direction and the things that you wish to improve. So let's take a look at the Sabian symbol. And I'm sorry, guys, but I have had an allergic response to something in my environment. Took some Benadryl, but my throat is definitely not happy. So if I break up a bit here or start sneezing or coughing, it's the Benadryl not kicking in and doing its work properly. So phase 88, Gemini, 28 degrees. This full moon is actually at 27 degrees, 29 minutes, just a little bit short of 28, so we round up. Through bankruptcy, society gives to an overburdened individual the opportunity to begin again. Keynote, a release from unbearable pressures, freeing one for new tasks. This symbol can easily be misinterpreted, for why it obviously has a connotation of failure. It nevertheless depicts a particular state of the complex relationship of an individual to his community. The bankruptcy proceedings mentioned here should not be construed as referring to a fraudulent type of bankruptcy. At least in the United States, bankruptcy does not imply a moral condemnation. Rather, it means that individual failure cannot be separated from the health of the community. The special nature of the whole is implied in the failure of the part to perform adequately under particularly harsh economic conditions. A society which enthrones the principle of ruthless competition must also develop mechanisms to exteriorize the principle of compassion. The latter was at first emphasized by Northern Buddhism and soon after by Christianity. The concept of atonement is directly related to that of release from unbearable economic pressures in bankruptcy. This is the third stage in the 18th sequence of cyclic phases. In the first two stages, we have seen the emergence of a new consciousness based on leaving behind the externals of biopsychic living in its at least relatively wild and exuberant aspect. Here we have another kind of leaving behind, a liberation from the past. I'm not sure right now if we're going to be necessarily liberating ourselves, or that all of us are liberating ourselves from the past. I think the discernment between what part of the past still serves us and what behooves us to let it go is important, and that may bring some sense of freedom. While we do have Aquarius planets, freedom is important, and the small part, you, and the greater part of society, well, we have the moon in a sign that has to do with siblings, brothers, sisters, neighbors, the small community around you. And on the bigger level, Aquarius energy is the future of society, the larger groups and organizations, people united behind a cause. So you may be aware of your part and what you wish to contribute. And if you've been doing work that does not seem meaningful or on purpose, then the activation of the lunar nodes, with Jupiter involved here through this fading square and the square there to Mars, might make you want to leave everything behind that you've already been doing and go off in a new direction, particularly if it has to do with your life work, your path, career, purpose. And of course, we're happier if our 8-hour workday is spent on doing things that we would really enjoy doing. There can be entrepreneurial energy associated with Sagittarius, and with Gemini, it's the formative ideas, the imagination, the spark of, I have a great idea, I want to do it. And Sagittarius is very impatient to go ahead and run with it, see if it'll make money, if it's going to be effective. Money is often associated with Taurus and with Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto, has to do with the 8th house of shared assets and resources. Taurus rules the 2nd house of personal finances, and we have some strong emphasis on Taurus and Scorpio-ish energy because of the Venus-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. So achieving a higher level seems to be some of what the moon is seeking right now, but that requires the willpower and the determination, and determining if it really is worth it, and looking at your values and what's important, because you can have quality of life and enjoy doing something and have your needs met, but not have a whole bunch of money, or you could be going after a whole bunch of money and be miserable. So it's an balance that you're seeking in life, and the mutable signs that are highlighted right now are about the flexibility and the adaptability. The fixed signs that are active now, the Taurus and the Aquarius energy, is about the stubbornness, but we have, and the fixed quality to hold on to something, to not want to break the routines, yet we have the image here of breaking a routine and putting in new foundations with this square between Saturn and Aquarius and its ruling planet Uranus in Taurus, that there has to be a new way to do things, or if the new is going on all around us, we have to accept that as a new platform, because that's the trend of where society is going. The cardinal energy, it's boss-like, it's very determined. And we have the idea of self with the cardinal energy of Aries, and the power that we have in affecting larger groups of people, or being a responsible person, being accountable, being able to be of integrity, to judge wisely, to make important decisions and commitments and stick to them, or to be honest and acknowledge rather than being insincere, faking it, particularly in something like relationship, or even if you're lying to yourself about the work that you're doing and you know you need to get out, then this square and this trine that Mercury is making will show you if you need to have a talk with somebody, or quit that job, or whatever it is that needs to happen. You will become aware. And of course, the full moon always brings emotions to a head, because both of these signs, both Sagittarius and Gemini, Gemini rules the 3rd house, which can be local travel and short trips, and Sagittarius rules foreign travel, going further, bigger places, traveling longer. Do be careful in transit at this full moon. Slow down, observe the rules, and be patient. And I know it is hard to be patient when we have some impatient signs activated with the sun and the moon, but you'll eventually get there. And it's better to get there safely than to have all kinds of mishaps or accidents or get lost or whatever. Give yourself enough time if you're traveling for the holidays to get to the airport, and be flexible. Definitely, although we do not have Mercury retrograde yet, we will later in January, but we've had some Mercury tension going on, and even Mercury interacting with Chiron in Aries and Uranus in Taurus can indicate that you might have your plans all set, but you can't account for everybody else and what might go on. So put in that extra time allowance wherever you are traveling to. Maybe even pack an extra pair of underpants in your bag that you can carry on the airplane, because there is the potential that luggage follows after you or is lost. Again, not quite as bad as a Mercury retrograde, but we do have a planet turning retrograde, and you don't want to waste time dealing with waiting on the system, basically, to catch up with you and the people who may have some power or control over your travel plans or your luggage or whatever. If suddenly they say, well, we want to inspect your luggage, or your luggage is lost, then that's time wasted. So, pack carefully, take an extra pair of underpants in your carry-on bag, your toothbrush, that type of stuff, and give yourself plenty of time to reach your destination safely. That's it until we get to a new moon coming up at the beginning of January with New Year. Take care, stay safe, enjoy time with your friends, your family, and I will talk to you soon.